The Idol Hero, Songstress. Chapter 14, Unforeseen Changes. I do want to let you guys know that there are some pretty major trigger warnings for this episode. There's going to be depiction of violence, of abuse, and attempted murder. So please do whatever is necessary to keep yourself safe if one of those is a trigger for you. And that being said, let's go ahead and get into the chapter. A couple of weeks after the school assembly, Yume was just falling asleep in her bed. She had had a long day with a group project where they were placed in groups of 4. This was both good and bad. The bad part was one of her group members was Ogata-san, who spent most of their meetings either acting antagonistic towards her or outright ignoring her. Fortunately, the good part of this was that the group leader was Tenya-kun, and their fourth person was Shota-kun. In a way, she felt sorry for Tenya-kun. Not only did he have to act as mediator between Ogata-san and herself, but he also found he had to provide general guidance for herself and Shoto to react beyond the awkward states they had found their interactions taking since the assembly. Yume had no idea why it was sometimes difficult to talk to Shoto. Sometimes they'd interact just fine, while other times it was like one or the other of them would say something and the other would just heat up for whatever reason. And even when it was her that started blushing, Yume had no idea why she felt that way. Those interactions were rather innocent, right? What was so embarrassing by her heterochromatic friend saying, You have a very good point there. She couldn't understand why that had gotten her a tiny bit flustered. Her tall friend just sighed and shook his head. Tsu-chan would just giggle ribbit when this happened around her. Granted, was never loud when she did that, but the girl had started to show a few more of her tells around her, and her other 2 close friends as well. This made Yume rather happy, as she thought the frog girl was rather cute when she let her in her feelings show. In Yume's opinion, it didn't happen often enough. Though she was a little concerned that Shoto-kun couldn't seem to figure out her tells yet. Ocha-chan was different. Most of the time, Yume had no problem calling the gravity girl her little ray of sunshine. The girl was almost perpetually happy and was ready with confidence even when she was in a serious mood during spars. However, there were times where Yume caught the normally happy girl frowning as she looked between Shoto-kun and herself. This would happen most often when the singer or the ice and fire user would start blushing for some reason. Yume simply couldn't understand what made her friend upset, and the brunette would never answer her directly when asked why. For that matter, Yume couldn't understand some of her own reactions when Shoto-kun would interact with Momo-chan. Oh, she didn't have a problem when the boy was complimenting either Tsu-chan or Ocha-chan, but she would suddenly feel something heavy in her stomach whenever the boy got too close with the heiress. She didn't even understand what that thought meant. What was getting this too close thought supposed to be? If anything, the boy seemed to have more interactions with her friends from another school than he did with the friends that he shared in a class. And there weren't any sparks of concern when he talked to Kinoko-chan either. So why was Momo-chan any different? For that matter, why was Shoto? And to an only slightly lesser extent, Su-chan and Ocha-chan so much on her mind. They were also busy with school and getting ready for UA that such distractions were not welcome. Or more to the point, she felt that between those and the biological Quirk race going on in her body at that moment, she really didn't have the energy to be so confused. She had asked her parents, and almost to a person, they all said some variation of, "You'll figure it out someday." Why did that make her aggro? Yume's world was engulfed as in such an all-encompassing world of flashing lights and pain that it took a moment for her to realize that scream as being her own. Her hands flew down to her lower abdomen and crotch just as another spasm of pain hit, causing her to shriek this time even as she curled into a ball in her bed. The door burst open to reveal a man rushing through it. His long black hair was trailing behind him even as he dashed to the bed. "Yume, what's wrong?" he asked in a tired but concerned voice. He was not panicked, not by any stretch, and he would drop kick anyone that dared to say there was a trace of panic in his voice, as he asked the question again while kneeling down by the bed. "Yume, come on, kid. What's wrong?" Inko and Nimuri almost collided in the doorway even as they dashed into the room to take their places on the opposite side of the bed from Shota.
"Sweetie, what is it? Come on, baby. Tell Mama what's wrong."
Last to enter the room was Hisashi, who was carrying a very upset Eri. The little girl was quiet, but she was also trying to get out of the man's grasp to go over to her sister. She struggled even more when the older girl whimpered out,
"Hurts." "What hurts, Yume-chan?"
Nimuri asked as she caught the erasing hero's eyes and looked over to Hisashi, who was struggling with Eri. There were some yellow sparks coming off of a quickly growing horn, indicating the younger girl was about to lose control of her quirk. Aizawa snapped his head in their direction to stare at the girl as his hair started to rise. The yellow sparks died as the man got up to help the blonde man with their younger daughter.
"Stomach. Crotch."
The girl in the bed groaned out just before letting out another scream. Nimuri was tempted to use her quirk just then, but the adults needed to be awake.
"Inko, call 119. Tell them we have a quirk mutation emergency, and we'll likely need blood as well. You should know her type."
The more visibly distraught mother nodded and stumbled backward even as the woman in charge knelt down to rub the girl's shoulder.
"Can you turn toward me, Yume-chan? Come on. Let me see those bright green eyes of yours."
As the girl struggled to turn over, the sounds of two men trying to calm a younger girl down could be heard in the background.
"Hisashi, I need your opinion here,"
she asked as a thought came to her mind. The voice hero passed the littlest girl off to his husband and made his way over to Nimuri's side. Once he was there, he too knelt down and rubbed the girl's arm. "You're doing great, baby. Topping the charts. What's the request?" he asked as he slipped into his hero persona to hide his worry.
"Would transforming be beneficial here? She said it's her stomach and crotch, and she's grasping where her uterus would be,"
the concerned but calm mother asked. "I don't know if we can play that tune," the man answered honestly. "The pre-stage performer looks like she's in too much pain to perform, and I would need to consult medical before I could attempt to play that track." Nimuri loved her husband, but she thought that he picked the most inopportune moments to slip into his hero persona. This was one of them. At least she had been married to the man long enough to know just what he meant. He'd need a quirk doctor's opinion, preferably the same doctor who's been caring for their daughter.
Okay, everyone back away from Yume for a moment,
she finally said after another moment's thought.
We'll try my quirk.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Hurts,
the girl said before letting out another shriek. One sec, y'all. Hizashi got up and pulled the green-haired mother back away as they all walked toward the doorway. Once they were back far enough, the R-rated hero gently said,
I'm going to let out some of my quirk. Just try to breathe normally. Can you do that for me, Yume-chan? I'll try,
the girl groaned. Namiri cupped her hand just under the girl's nose and attempted to do something her daughter had gotten her to practice, releasing her quirk from just one part of her body. After a few moments punctuated by painful whimpers from her daughter, the heroic mother managed to get a small cloud of gas to release just below the girl's nose. The heroine's quirk was generally less effective on females, true, but Yume was a little more than half male biologically at this point, so the adult hoped that this would be effective. The girl's reaction verified what Midnight had thought. Her adopted daughter shared a lesser resistance to her quirk than other females, but was more resistant than most males. This would be something she would have to share with her daughter later. It would give them something to figure out about her quirk to take her mind off of whatever was happening in the greenet's body. The girl in question relaxed a little as the gas acted as a mild sedative. Namiri was sure to only apply a little amount to attempt to keep the girl conscious when she noticed the effects were different. Still, the girl did fall asleep for maybe a minute or two before waking up. The groggy state the gas left the girl in served to lessen the pain, which all four parents watching on found comforting.
An ambulance is on its way. Hagiwara-sensei just called and will meet us there.
Inko called out as she hung up the phone.
Thankfully, they aren't far away.
Recovery girl just called. Apparently Nezu called her and told her to call us. She's going to meet us there too,
Hizashi said in a confused tone.
How does he know these things?
Aizawa tiredly complained.
Am I going to have to check for bugs again?
I just think he likes to keep tabs on his employees and their families,
Inko innocently said.
I texted work to tell them my baby is having an emergency, and 4 minutes later, recovery girl called.
We'll have to check your phone then,
groaned the tired, grumpy man.
I don't see any bugs,
their littlest girl then commented, causing their older girl to giggle, then groan. The voice hero softly chuckled as the doorbell rang. When Namiri went to answer it, he said,
Not that kind of bug, Unicorn-chan. We'll explain it to you later.
Indeed, the explanation would have to wait as paramedics arrived to start to check on their oldest child. The somnambulist user explained what had happened so far, along with the usage of her quirk and the duration of such a dose should be good for as she walked in with them. A few minutes later, they had their older girl on a gurney and were taking her to the nearby Hero Hospital. The rest of the family quickly got into Namiri's car to follow behind. The song user's family had to wait in the waiting room for about 30 minutes, as various medical professionals checked on the girl's condition. Finally, Dr. Hagiwara came out and asked for the family to follow her to a conference room. Drinks were offered, and an offer was made for someone to look after the unicorn girl, the latter of which was turned down for safety's sake. Finally, after everyone was settled, the emergency room doctor joined them and electronically wired in the room where Yume was resting so she could be present for the proceedings as well. Unfortunately, Recovery Girl got derailed by another emergency. She would look over the file when she arrived later.
First, let me advise Masai-sensei that each of the adults here are registered as emergency contacts with full decision-making authority over Midoriya-chan.
The OBGYN relayed.
Hi, I am currently engaged to join in their polyamorous family.
Inko clarified when the ER doctor raised both eyebrows.
We went ahead and took care of the power of attorneys first. Oh, congratulations!
A rather dopey-sounding Yume said. One could tell she was still in considerable pain and barely conscious, but was still at least semi-cognizant.
Sorry, sweetie. We were gonna tell you tomorrow night.
Namiri added.
It's okay.
Okay, Dr. Masejun said as he began to understand the situation. Right now, we have Midoriya-chan under partial sedation due to severe abdominal cramping located in her lower abdomen. These cramps would be normal, given she's entered her first menstrual cycle, save that she has nowhere to drain the things to.
As I mentioned 3 weeks ago,
The regular doctor replied.
Your daughter was in a race between puberty and her quirk, and unfortunately, it looks like puberty won. Furthermore, as you know, I have taken the liberty of ordering some DNA and other medical tests over the past few weeks. I was going to discuss this with you tomorrow, but it looks like your daughter's body decided it wanted this discussion held now. Sorry.
The patient apologized bashfully. There's no need to apologize. It's illogical, Shoto replied as he looked at the camera set up to send their image to the room Yume was in. This was out of your control. Indeed, the male doctor concurred. If I am to understand the circumstances, there was nothing more you could have done than continue to live as you have been.
Indeed. Well, the DNA tests confirmed the same tests done a couple months ago.
The female doctor interjected to put the conversation back on track.
Your daughter's sex chromosomes show both male and female chromosomes equally. This is only found in certain intersex cases, as we have discussed before.
Ordinarily, we would be looking at getting legal permission for SRS at this point, Dr. Massey interjected. I am still waiting to hear why we are not doing so in this case.
Some of the other tests I ran involved tracking Midoriya-chan's quirk factor, as it seemed to have some bearing in this situation. The results show that her quirk is indeed keeping both sets of sex organs active. Furthermore, we ran a test involving your daughter's eyebrows. If you will remember,
The other doctor answered. When Iko answered in the affirmative, the doctor continued.
the results of that test showed that her body will regenerate, albeit slowly, anything removed from it. Fortunately, the DNA test we ran for genetic diseases came back negative. In other words, there is a strong possibility that performing SRS will be futile. her quirk would just grow the missing organs back.
Dr. Maze's eyebrows met his receding hairline when he digested the information about the test results being ran.
So, let me see if I can get this straight. This race you were speaking of was a race between her quirk's speed of mutation to allow for a path for discharge versus her first period.
Unfortunately, yes.
The OBGYN confirmed.
I've been in contact with the consulting quirk doctor, and he confirmed my test results. Therefore, instead of performing true SRS, we will have to perform a partial SRS to create a tract to allow for external access to the uterus.
A soft gasp was heard over the speakers, causing all the adults to look toward the screen. The girl on the screen was attempting to put on a brave front, even though it was obvious she was scared.
I have an entrance exam in 8 months. Will that be enough time for me to heal?
She asked tremulously.
Yume is training to enter the UA Hero course.
Hisashi filled in.
I'd been training her for the past 2 months for that purpose.
Dr. Hagiwara sighed and said,
She would not be able to continue that practice for at least 6 months. Maybe as much as 9 months. I cannot guarantee that she would be healed enough to be medically fit to take the standard entrance exam.
A soft sob could be heard through the speakers as the girl realized this could threaten her chances of getting into UA with the rest of her friends. Tears started to roll down her eyes as she saw her dreams be delayed at best. Even at the best possible outcome, there would be no way her body would be ready to take the entrance exam in 2 months' time. Still, she would not be who she was if she just gave up.
I have a question, if I may.
It was obvious the girl was fighting the pain medication to be able to think clearly.
To be honest, I'm amazed you're still awake. Much less able to ask these questions,
the ER doctor observed.
My daughter has many gifts. A brilliantly powerful mind is one of them. She goes to Cumming Junior High and is in their dedicated deduction course.
Inka responded.
I'm very impressed. I have a friend whose son is in that course at that school. Your daughter must be something really special to have been able to enter that course,
the man answered. Turning to the girl, he said,
Go ahead.
My quirk transforms my body on a genetic level when it is fully activated. If I understand everything I've been told.
She started. Her stutter made an appearance due to her impending grief, but it was kept to a minimum as she willed her mouth to work through the anesthesia.
So, my question is actually in 2 parts. 1, what would those transformations do to the results of the modified SRS? And 2, if it would be okay for me to transform. Would I be able to physically train while transformed?
The OBGYN turned to look toward Hisashi and said,
Present Mike, you are listed as on record as her quirk counselor. I do not think to ask her quirk doctor these questions, much to my shame. But I need to ask you.
1 sec, y'all.
What have you witnessed happening to wounds obtained by Midoriya-chan when she transforms? Both into her target and back to her base form.
The results have been inconsistent. The only thing I can say with certainty is that the transformations do not exasperate any wounds present. Actually, there's one other thing I can say,
the hero mused.
Twice now, Yume-chan has broken bones while transformed. I did not want to risk her transforming back to base with those bones. We have done a character-to-character transformation without exasperating the break to get her to a form with healing powers. Any healing done while transformed carries over when she transforms to base. Otherwise, wounds obtained prior to transformation, in either direction, have either healed or not during transformation. We have not found any common indicators that would explain the difference.
Have you attempted to have her heal wounds carried over in transformation from her base form?
The later doctor pressed.
And what were the results?
Yes, and as I said, any healing done while transformed carries over after transforming. She had some bloody knuckles that were healed in such a manner, since the initial transformation did not heal them.
I see,
the doctor said as she mused quietly.
Given that information, I would tentatively say it would be safe for you to transform after the procedure would be complete. But what would happen if her quirk considered the hole left open as a wound and heals it during transformation?
Inko interjected, concerned for her child.
That is what I meant by tentatively. But there are two overarching current conditions that would lead me to hypothesize that such a situation might not occur.
And I hope those are logically thought out.
Shota interjected in Inko's defense.
Yes, they are. First, her quirk has been attempting to make an opening for her female organs for a while now. That we are in this situation at all is only due to the fact that puberty beat our mutations. This is more solid of the two current conditions. But the other condition actually gives me some bit of hope that we could, maybe, arrange things in our favor.
Dr. Hagiwara answered. Seeing she got everyone's attention, she asked,
Midoriya-chan, I have been given what I have been told was a rudimentary listing of the current anime you can draw on for your transformations. Assuming the initial transformation does not cause instant issues, I believe you have a form that allows for healing on a technologically advanced but still magical level, correct? I'm not following. Sorry.
the girl said. Her determination to think through the pain medications could only get her so far. However, Hisashi, as her quirk counselor, instantly knew the form to which the doctor was referring.
She means Shamal, if I'm understanding her correctly,
he clarifies. As the doctor nodded her response, the identity-changing girl blinked for a moment and then nodded slowly.
Hi. I do have access to that form. It's one of the 3 go-to healing forms I have. But the transformation changes the plumbing down there too. How would that work?
Her words were starting to come across as more slurred as she started to lose her fight against the exhaustion.
She was about to go to sleep when this started.
Inka replied to the concerned ER doctor's look.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Sweetie, Are you okay now? I think we may be on track for something here, don't you?
The biological mother asked her daughter. The girl yawned and as she gave a sleepy nod.
Hi. I know this will have to be done anyways, but please try to find a way to allow me to go to UA.
The girl finally lost her battle against her psychological fatigue and the medication she was under as her head fell to the side for her to sleep.
She is right about one thing. The modified SRS will have to be done. There are a couple of problems in that due to your daughter's unique situation. We can't perform certain processes that would normally take place. That is why we will need permission from legal to proceed.
The lady doctor commented.
Thankfully, your legal team has done much of the legwork already, so we can rely on a night court judge for the final order. However, I must legally emphasize that due to your daughter's nature, this is considered an experimental procedure.
We have called someone in with a cloning quirk to provide us with the materials we are going to need, but there is a risk, however small it may be, of rejection,
Dr. Masse added.
And even if it succeeds, whether or not your daughter can continue to train for UA, or even apply this year, will remain to be seen. Most certainly, it will mean that training will have to be suspended for a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks. Even if we can find a way to use her transformations to speed the healing process, I know the doctor they're going to call in to perform the surgery well enough to know she's going to insist that such an experimental procedure be done only after some supervised study to ensure patient safety. I went to medical school with her, among other things. I was going to ask how you could give such authoritative announcements on something that isn't in your field,
Shota announced as he held a roll of now exhausted Eri, who had just gone to sleep.
Two reasons. First, I'm the chief surgeon here at the hospital. We were short ER doctors, so I'm filling in a shift until we get a couple more doctors slotted in here. Fortunately, that will be in a couple of days,
the elderly man said.
And secondly, my wife, Dr. Masse Aoi, is one of the best plastic surgeons in Japan that deals with transgender operations. She has been assigned to your daughter's case and will be here in the morning. I know my wife just about as well as you know your spouses, Eraserhead-san. I even went to med school with her. She puts her patients' health and well-being first, and foremost above all else. While she will understand your daughter's situation and wishes, I'm afraid President Mike-san is going to be for a long few weeks as he and my wife confer over just about every aspect of your daughter's quirk.
I wish her luck.
Iko spoke up with a smile.
I'm her biological mother. I still don't know how my child's quirk works. And he's been giving me nightly reports on my baby.
President Mike confidently nodded agreement and said,
Even the pre-stage performer will admit her quirk is just plain weird. It's even harder to figure out that Eri-chan's, and that is saying something.
The parents had a stress-relieving chuckle at that remark. They continued to talk to the doctors about some of the more detailed aspects of the upcoming operation, and were eventually offered a guest room to sleep in until the next morning. That would be when text and phone calls would be made, and things would start to be put in motion. Yume's spotlight. Idol Queen invited Inko Mama into the chat. 7 a.m. Inko Mama.
Sorry, dears. She didn't really add me to the chat, but I had to use her phone to add myself. Yume's in the hospital right now, so she won't be in class today.
Momo.
Oh no, is she okay?
Gravity who? Question marks. Kero.
What?
Shoto. Can you please tell me what happened? Not Sonic.
Oh dear. I hope she is okay. I will definitely inform the instructors if you wish me to, Midoriya-san.
Shroom.
Nani?
Inko Mama.
Even though it is fairly serious, she'll be okay. She had some severe cramping in her lower abdomen, in between her legs last night, just as she was going to bed. We had to call an ambulance, and the good news is she still has a long life ahead of her.
Gravity who? At Inko Mama.
What happened to her?
Kero. Trying to... I'm not sure how to voice these. Kero. Second. Shroom. Third. Momo. Fourth. Guess that's how I'll do those. It's little carrot things that point up. Shoto.
Please, what's going on?
Not Sonic.
Oh dear, this does not sound good. My apologies, Midoriya-san, but normally when the good news is that someone will live, it normally means something really bad has happened.
Inko Mama.
How much has my baby told you all about her body mutation? Anything beyond what she told you when she revealed her RLT to you?
Momo.
She did mention that she feels like her body was a time bomb between puberty and her quirk.
Inko Mama. Knots in size.
It sounds like she's told you all just about everything.
Shoto. Yes. Gravity who?
I'm getting scared.
Inko Mama.
I'm sorry, dear. But remember I said that she'll live.
Gravity who?
What are you not telling us? Please?
Not Sonic.
Uraraka, it seems like Midoriya-san doesn't really want to tell us. We should respect her wishes.
Momo.
Midoriya-san, I am really sorry you're going through this right now. I would dearly love to help you as much as I could, regardless of what you say. But we're her closest friends, and we're all really worried. Can you please tell us?
Not Sonic.
Momo-chan!
Shroom.
Yeah, I know this is being intrusive, but she's my best friend. I can't help but agree with Yaoyorozu-san. And I'm feeling that exclamation away for later, Ida-kun.
Filing, excuse me. Kero.
Inko-san, please tell us.
Gravity who?
Please.
Inko Mama.
Puberty won the race. My baby is going to be having surgery today, as soon as the legal documentation is out of the way, so... I can't type it. Please don't ask me to.
Kero. Exclamation points. Gravity Hill. Keyboard smash. Momo.
Oh dear. I'm very sorry, Midoriya-san.
Shroom. Keyboard smash. Not Sonic.
I see. I'm very sorry you were forced to type that, Midoriya-san.
Inko Mama.
Are you all okay?
Gravity Hill.
Are we okay? We should be asking you that.
Kero.
Agreed. I'm sad, but this changes nothing as far as she and I are concerned.
Gravity Hill. Second. Momo.
Can I take it you will be at the hospital all day, Midoriya-san?
Not Sonic. I find myself wanting to ask the same thing. Shroom.
She's still my best friend. I'm more worried about how she's going to take all of this.
Gravity Hill.
Not well, if I know her as I think I do.
Sorry about that, y'all. Inko Mama.
There may be some hope, but it's not something I want to discuss in chat. But... Todoroki-san, are you still there?
Gravity Hill.
Wait, he hasn't been responding. Todoroki-san?
Kero.
Todoroki-san?
Shroom.
Shoto-kun?
Momo.
Shoto-kun?
Not Sonic.
Shoto-san.
Shoto has changed their name to Not Todoroki. Not Todoroki. Please do not call me by that name anymore. I do not have a family name. Momo! Exclamation points. Shroom! Exclamation points. Kero! Exclamation points. Gravity Who?
What?
Momo!
Shoto-kun, are you in a safe place?
Not Sonic. Second. Inko Mama.
Shoto dear, what's wrong? Are you okay? Do you need me to send someone to help you?
Not Todoroki. I will be fine. What hospital are you at? Yaoyorozu-san, Ida-san. Can you tell Iga-sensei I won't be in class today? Inko Mama.
Shoto, where are you? I'm sending someone to come get you.
Momo.
If needs be, I can send a driver.
Not Sonic. Under the circumstances, I can get someone to you fast, Shoto-san. No, not Todoroki. I will be okay. I don't want attention drawn to me. Please, just tell me what hospital you were at. Inko Mama.
Shoto-san, please do not scare me like this. I'm already worried sick about my baby. I am okay with you coming here, but I must insist you let me send someone to get you. The way this is, I'm worried you will be in more danger without the escort than with.
Not Sonic.
I agree. You do not sound like you're in a safe situation.
Momo. Second. Shroom. Third. Gravity Who?
Please, Shoto-kun.
Kero.
For us, please?
Not Todoroki has sent his location. Inko Mama.
Thank you, Shoto-kun. I hope you don't mind the kun. Yume would never forgive me if I didn't help you. Eraserhead is on his way.
Not Todoroki. Please tell him to hurry. Inko Mama.
He knows.
Keto.
Can Ochi-chan and I come to the hospital after school, Inko Mama?
Gravity Hill. Second. Exclamation points. Inko Mama.
Yes, dear. Just let your parents know, Asui. Asui-chan, President Mike is contacting your trainer.
Kettle.
Good.
Mama.
Can we come too?
Not Sonic. I will collect notes and homework. Shroom.
I let Imeda-sensei know and relay any instructions he has.
Inko Mama.
Yes, dears. We're at the Hero Hospital near UA School. UA High School. I'll let the front desk know.
Momo.
Do you need anything, Midoriya-san?
Inko Mama.
Just knowing you all care so much is more than I could wish for right now, dear.
Not Sonic. If you can think of anything, please let us know. Not Sonic. Shoto-kun, please let us know when Eraserhead has reached you, so we know you're safe. Keto. Second. Gravity Who. Third. Shroom. Fourth. Momo. Fifth. Gravity Who.
He hasn't answered yet.
One sec, y'all. Keto.
I'm worried.
Inko Mama.
Eraserhead hasn't answering either.
Todoroki household, 7 a.m. No one except maybe his father himself knew why Angie Todoroki, aka Endeavor, was at the breakfast table that morning. Shoto's sister Fuyumi was still being the dutiful daughter and serving the three of them breakfast, even though she was supposed to leave in a half hour to make it to school on time. She would be late that day. Luckily, she had the foresight to slip into the kitchen to let the principal know so someone could cover the class until she could get there. Equally fortunately, her boss knew the situation in this house and would not hold it against her. That was just the thing. Everyone knew the situation in this house, but no one could do anything about it. Fuyumi's boss, her colleagues, his friends, they all knew what a flaming pile of garbage his father was. But no one could do anything to help him or her sister. They were captives to the number 2 hero. In some ways, his mother was the lucky one, or so Shoto has come to realize recently. Despite what happened, Shoto never blamed her for his scar. He knew what drove her to pour that water on his face, and it was sitting directly across the table from him in judgment. Normally, his father was not present in the mornings, so the house was usually livelier than it was today. But the man's presence, and his judgmental attitude, was enough to bring down the atmosphere of the house so much it was all Shoto could do to school his features into the disinterested, cold, emotionless shell he normally wore. At least the man wasn't talking yet. Whatever Shoto had done this time, the hero appeared content to stare at it and brood over him. His father was waiting for Shoto to grow uncomfortable enough to make the first move, to ask the man what was wrong. But Shoto refused to do that. He would not give in to the man's whims. But putting his father aside for a moment, which was nearly impossible, the morning air carried an unidentifiable weight to it. A normally heavy atmosphere was made 2 or 3 times heavier by this unknown weight. It felt like the universe was holding its breath with one foot raised over the house, as if the new hero Mount Lady had her foot suspended over it. Everyone but his father could feel it. The help seemed even more skittish than normal, and Fuyumi looked on the verge of panicking. The universe itself was waiting for that one final push to spark a powder keg. Then his phone came alive with text messages from Yume's chat. Shoto had his phone set with a special ringtone for that chat so he would know what it is. And he knew it wasn't a private message from Yume. Those texts had their own ringtone set to Fight Song. His father hated that song, which Shoto found a certain amount of childish, vindictive glee in watching him wince every time that ringtone played. But this was the group chat. Not even thinking about the rule about no cell phones at the table, which only applied when Indahor was here. He fished his phone out of his pocket to find out what was going on. Maybe it was a change in plans for lunch, or even after-school training. "Put that away," his father said automatically. But Shoto found he couldn't, not when he read what Yume's mother texted. Shoto's hand felt numb as he typed out an inquiry as to what happened, again ignoring the presence of the flaming fake hero. He looked up at Fuyumi. "Something's wrong." Shoto almost didn't recognize his voice. It sounded hollow, almost empty. The weight of the universe seemed focused on that moment, even as Endeavor growled out, "I don't care! Put that away! Now!" Something was shifting. Shoto could almost hear a cosmic sigh as he paid more attention to the phone than anyone else in the room. He didn't even feel himself get up from the table and take a step back. He didn't feel his right side start to frost over. His eyes were glued to his phone, waiting with a ragged breath. He didn't even register his father stand up right after he did, nor did he hear the threat his father made. All he could see was his phone. And then it has the it showing the line where Inko tells that the puberty won the race. What happened next was an unstoppable and inevitable as a typhoon. The world dropped out from under Shoto. His mind was screaming for his friend to be alright, even though he knew how much danger she was in. And she was at the mercy of the legal system. The same one that had failed him time and time again. He had to go. He had to go to her now. Unbeknownst to him, tears started to flow down his face. On his left side, they trailed down slowly, one at a time. On his right side, they froze over almost as soon as they left his eyes. He didn't know it, but the temperature in the room started falling, fast. Fuyumi was up in an instant, for once ignoring her father to circle around the table to get to him. He could only barely hear what they were saying.
Shoto, what's wrong? Come on, tell us what's happening.
She was getting no response to her inquiries. She rushed over and caught the last message from Inko even as it scrolled out of the screen.
"You need to go,"
was all she said. She knew who the woman was, and which one of her brother's friends was in trouble.
"He is not going anywhere,"
their father declared, having had enough of being ignored. The hero pulled out his own phone and ordered his sidekicks to cover for him in the morning. After giving that order, the man shoved the chair he was sitting on away from him and yelled, "Shoto! You will put that phone down and come to the training room now. I can see I have been too lax in your training. If you show me this level of disrespect..." The weight of the universe came crashing down, just like Mount Lady's foot. Training? Training? That sorry excuse of a human being wants me to train now? Hell no! The voice in Shoto's head started, as his own became more and more shrill as the thoughts spiraled out of his control. This was it, the final straw, the final insult that the heterochromatic teen could bear. His patience broke, and with it any desire to acknowledge the man's existence. "Nay-san, I'm going," he said in a dull voice as he noticed his sister reading the phone chat over his shoulder. "I don't know when I'll be back." Flames literally exploded in the house in all directions as the man on fire lost control of that fire. "I will not be ignored! You will not be going anywhere!" The table split in two from the force of the explosion and quickly caught fire. Both the substitute teacher and her younger brother got blown back and through the wall behind them. The room became an inferno. The older sister then realized there was no reasoning with the enraged father, but she and her brother were in danger for their lives.
We're leaving here. Come on, Shoto-kun, before he kills us both.
The adult sibling quickly dragged her brother up and ran them both toward the front of their house. The house itself was catching fire, despite the flame-retardant materials used in its construction. The servants were equally intelligent and ran for their lives. This seemed to snap Shoto out of his stupor even as he followed his sister toward the front door. He heard the shout of "Shoto!" over the roaring flames, accompanied by thunderous footsteps of their father running after them. In a split-second decision, the half-hot, half-cold user generated the thickest ice wall he could, along the entirety of the wall holding the door they had just gone through. It was at least a foot thick, 4 times thicker than anything he had ever generated at that speed before. Then he allowed his sister to drag them out. Once they got outside, he snapped to a stop, almost causing his sister to fall over from sheer momentum. He slammed his foot down again, even as his phone was still playing the notification alerts from the chat. "Fuyumi-ne-san, we need to split up. He's after me, and that won't hold him for long. I will hide. You need to find help. Tell them father has snapped. Please, we don't have time to waste arguing." He continued to pour ice over ice, trying to seal the house in an ice dome. His sister looked like she wanted to argue, but the cracks that Shoto was fighting convinced her.
Stay safe, Shoto-kun.
The older sibling pleaded with him. He nodded once and pushed her away. As she ran, he gave one final push with the ice before sprinting off in her direction, perpendicular to the alleyway to the one his sister ran, headed further into the city. He could hear his dome cracking behind him, and he poured on the speed until he found an alleyway to duck into. He huddled himself into a corner and used his left side to start warming himself up, even as he changed his chat name in an open declaration to the universe. He silenced his phone but asked where Yume was. It didn't matter if going there would be too predictable. Tin and Dahors couldn't keep him away from his friend and her family. He tried to assure them he was okay even as he asked where his friend was. His first friend, his hero, was. But Yume's mom was just as observant as her daughter, and he knew there was no way he could convince her that he wasn't in danger. They started to demand to know where he was. Yume's interests? He didn't know what that frog girl and gravity girl were to his friend, other than very important, and that made their opinions very important to him. They joined Yume's mom in asking, and he couldn't stand it anymore. Not Todoroki has sent his location. Then he read the message that he had hoped in vain he would not read. Yume's dad was coming for him. There was a sound like shattering glass from a few blocks away when he read that. It felt like something cosmic shattered, but he knew it was just the ice dome. He's coming. Shoto felt a sense of hellish fear creep down his back. It felt so cold, and yet it had nothing to do with this ice. At that moment, he wished for a hero, any hero, to come and save him. The tone of the man shouting made it clear that he was in mortal danger from his father. The only thing he could do is ask them to hurry before he shut his phone off, and made himself as small as he could in that alleyway. The hiding boy almost thought that the enraged monster had some way of tracking him. The shouts grew closer and closer, zeroing in on his location with some kind of supernatural accuracy. How can he be coming after me so surely? I didn't leave any ice on the ground, the boy thought to himself as he could feel the heat of the hellfire from a block away. He could hear screams as people tried to get out of the hero's way, followed by the sounds of cars crashing into each other. What could have made him snap so badly? This is too much even for me ignoring him. The heat in the alleyway only increased as he heard the titanic footfalls grow closer. It literally sounded like what he imagined the titans of old would sound like when they walked. Then he heard his father's voice. You cannot run from me, Shoto. I will show you the price for ignoring me. You will not ignore me anymore. He could see flickering yellow light at the mouth of the alleyway now. He tried to crouch further into the corner, wishing desperately he had some shadow quirk. Failing that, a hero showing up would be really great right about now. A hulking figure on fire stopped at the mouth of the alleyway. The flickering golden yellow light poured through the alleyway, banishing even the blackest, darkest shadows, to reveal a boy with white and red hair huddling in the corner. Found you, the man almost sang in some kind of sick, evil, twisted imitation of a playful tease. Shoto slammed his right hand on one of the walls of the corner, doing the same with his foot. Ice started to form around the boy in an attempt to encase himself in a shell of protection, much like he dreamed his hero would do for him. Oh no, no. We can't be having that, Shoto, the man said as if was pronouncing a sentence for a crime. The flames around the man turned brighter as a stream of flame shot into the coalescing ice shell. Angry steam bellowed in all directions as the ice was turned from solid almost directly to gas. Shoto could feel his skin and clothes grow hotter as the steam washed over him. He knew that if he used his fire, he could protect himself from the steam, but he still couldn't bring himself to do it. Fire had hurt his mother. Fire had driven her insane. Fire had put her in the hospital with no hope of escape. Fire came from the monster in front of him, and he could not bring himself to use it. Instead, he poured on the ice, trying to thicken and strengthen it. The heat of the steam would protect him from frostbite. He could only hope the resulting burns would not be so bad. In the back of his mind, he knew it was a losing battle.
Sometimes one could be stronger by forging their own path with the tools they were given, even if it seems like those tools are embarrassing or bring painful memories.
Yume's words came back to him as he fought for his life. He couldn't fight against this monster. He couldn't win. All he could do was delay. Some memories are just too painful, Yume-chan. He was failing.
All you need to do is determine how to use those tools in your own way, not in the way others may dictate.
Could he, though? The fire inside was a tool, yes, but it was a tool of destruction. It could not save anyone. Steam poured from the cracks forming on the ice shell. He tried to move himself out of the way, even as he could swear the light outside was now blue. I hate him, Mommy. I don't want to be like Daddy. Someone who bullies my mommy. I don't want to be like that. The ice shell was failing. He knew when it failed, he would be instantly incinerated by the heat of the flame being pitted against it. His father bullied his mother, drove her insane. Toya never came back, and now he was going to disappear too. If only.
But you want to be a hero, right? That's fine. You're not bound by his blood. You decide who you want to become.
Where did that come from? He didn't remember that. But that was his mother's voice, telling him it was okay. He was not his father.
Use those tools in your own way. You decide. Forging their own path. You're not bound by his blood.
Yume's words, his mother's, all mixed together in his head. He just... Wait.
He does not have ice, only fire. The fire and ice work together.
Alien thoughts were born from the mix of his friend and his mother. Two women, both consoling. Both trying to lead him toward a future. A future he will not have. No! Flames started to flicker along his left arm, down his left leg. He closed his eyes, prayed to his friend in the hospital, prayed to the memory of his mother, and finally, let go. Crash. Whoosh. The sound of the ice shelf shattering echoed through the alleyway. Sounded exactly like fine crystal shattering against the floor. Blue flames washed through the end of the alleyway, starting to melt the bricks of the buildings there just like the ones closer to the flaming man had been. For a minute, then two, nothing appeared to exist in the alleyway other than the blue flame. Suddenly it was cut off, like flipping a switch. The man formerly on fire roared in defiance as he found himself unable to generate any flame whatsoever. He was so lost in his rage, he did not see the hero in black clothes with a gray scarf leap down, one end of the scarf catching on a melting fire escape, the other wrapping around a large muscular man. The entire area seemed much darker as the black-haired man delivered a snapping kick to the jaw of the enraged beast before it could even think of putting up a defense. The attacker immediately fell to the ground unconscious, rendering the alleyway almost completely silent. Almost completely silent, that is. except the roar of yellow flames from down the alleyway. At the end of the alleyway was a literal whirlwind of yellow flames swirling around a corner. It was the same corner the blue flames had been targeting. The underground hero wasted no time trying to figure out what he was seeing. Instead, he pulled some quirk-suppressing cuffs from his belt and slapped them on the prone man, even as he saw two other heroes following a young woman with white hair, with red streaks approaching. He nodded to them and gestured to the number 2 hero secured on the ground.
Attempted murder, destruction of private property, reckless endangerment of civilians. Only this time, it wasn't a villain he was after. It was his son.
The heroes only blinked before moving to secure the prisoner. Satisfied, the attacker was taken care of, at least for the moment. He turned to where he believed his daughter's friend was.
Another problem child,
he muttered before calling out.
Shoto-kun. He's captured and unconscious. He can't hurt you anymore. Please extinguish your quirk.
For a moment, it looked like the boy didn't hear him, but then the flames changed from yellow to a dull red and contracted, causing steam to rise once again. A moment later, what was left of the flames and the ice shell evaporated away, showing a singed but alive Todoroki Shoto. The boy struggled to stand by using only his legs as something to push off of. Since the walls were still too hot and too unstable to utilize, the boy looked like he had been inside a burning building and had walked through flames to escape, which was appropriate considering what he went through.
Take me to your daughter, please,
was the boy's only response, seemingly ignoring the immense pain he had to be in. Eraserhead could only let out a long, suffering sigh as he pulled out his cell phone and made a call.
He's alive. He's a bit singed and far too determined to see Yume, but he's okay. I have to get him looked after first.
He listened to a woman on the other end before letting out an even wearier sigh.
Yeah, if the doctors think they can keep him in bed. They're going to be in for a rude awakening. Tell the others, please.
He glanced up, saw something, then harumphed.
Never mind.
Hanging up the phone, he said.
Come on, let's get you seen to. Then you can see Inko. Good job on the fire, by the way.
Gravity who?
He hasn't answered yet.
Kettle.
I'm worried.
Inko, Mama.
Eraserhead isn't answering either.
Mama.
I'm at school. He still hasn't answered?
Not Sonic.
He's not here either.
Shroom.
I'm talking to our homeroom teacher. We may not be here long.
Kettle. Groan.
Trust Kinoko to bring out a pun at a time like this.
Shroom.
Hey! It's just my coping mechanism, you know.
Not Todoroki. Eraserhead is here, and that whore is captured. I'm on my way. Inko, Mama.
After you get seen by doctors and cleared. Not a moment before, young man.
Gravity who?
What?
Alright, y'all. That was a long chapter, and it's getting late, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off the episode here. That was insane. I mean, I had a feeling that's exactly what was going to happen when it said attempted murder. But holy shit. Whew. I'm very, very curious to see what happens next with the consequences of Endeavor. Like, he's definitely gonna have some at this point. And yeah, I just look forward to seeing what happens next. Hopefully you guys do too. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to chat about the chapter, feel free to drop some comments in the comment section. I do my best to respond to all of the comments. And if you enjoyed, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Having said that, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out for the last little over an hour, and I will see you all in my next video. Ciao for now.